needs no introduction to most of you in this audience. You all recognize Dr. Diane Ravitch as a former Assistant Secretary of Education, having federal appointments for both President George H.W. Bush and President William Jefferson Clinton, and as a historian, professor, a member of the Brookings Institution, a former member of the NAEP Governing Board, and the author of 24 widely acclaimed books. What you might not know are some of the very significant honors bestowed upon her in just the past few months. In October, Atlantic Monthly selected Dr. Ravitch as one of the world's 19 brave thinkers, specifically for her intellectual and moral bravery. In November, Dr. Ravitch received the prestigious Association of Schools and Colleges Elliott Award for her lifetime of deep commitment and keen insight into the improvement of public education for all students. In December, Dr. Ravitch was selected as the 2011 recipient of the most coveted Daniel Patrick Moynihan Prize in recognition of her distinguished work on public education as a researcher and public official. The American Academy of Political and Social Science, in awarding her the prize, said, "Dr. Ravitch's work is truly bipartisan, transcends ideology, and is based on the best evidence available." In January, Dr. Ravitch learned that her recent New York Times best-selling book was named Most Important Education Book of the Decade in a 6-month-long poll conducted by Education Monthly. Next month, Dr. Ravitch will be receiving the Distinguished Service Award from the National Association of Secondary School Principals, memorializing her commitment to public education. And shortly after that, Columbia University's Teachers College is bestowing upon Dr. Ravitch the college's Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award. Dr. Ravitch demonstrates a rare quality, a true dedication to public education, which trumps allegiance to ideology or political party. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Diane Ravitch back to Palm Beach County, Florida.
Thank you so much. It's such a treat to be back in Palm Beach County and at Lynn University, because it means I'm not in New York City, where I gather there's another 4 or 5, 10 inches of snow following last week's 4 or 5 or 10 inches and the Christmas blizzard. Well, I was here in May, and a lot has changed since then. Palm Beach County has several new members of its school board, and of course, a new chairman, Frank Barbieri, and I know that Frank is dedicated to making Palm Beach County schools the best in the state. I want to thank Senator Sachs for having sponsored this forum, and also to thank Congressman Ted Deutsch for his strong support of public education. And thanks also to Rita Solnit, an accomplished businesswoman and one of the nation's leading parent activists, who organized this event and brought so many of us here today. Well, another thing that's changed since I was here last May is that you have a new governor. And the governor has a new reform agenda for education, and we'll take a close look at that agenda today. I'm sure that Governor Scott and the legislature want to do what's best for the children of Florida. We all want to do what's best for the children of Florida and for the nation. This is our future. If we don't do what's right for them, we will all pay the price. Whatever we do in the name of reform, we must take care to do no harm, because these are children's lives that are at stake. At the same time, this state, like many other states, faces enormous budgetary pressures and must take care to be fiscally prudent. The legislature should invest only in reforms that have proven their worth. This is not a time to invest billions in schemes that are called reform, that have no evidence to support them, or on reforms that sound good but have failed elsewhere. Just calling something a reform doesn't mean that it will work, and doesn't mean that it will make schools better. The state must take care from the very outset to support and to nurture a strong professional teaching force. Because without our teachers, without our best principals, even the best designed plans and the most exciting innovations in the world will fail. The state must continue to support the health and well-being of children, because it's crucial for their academic performance. It must make early childhood education a priority because research has consistently demonstrated the value of investing in children's formative years. It must support parent education because, as President Obama said last night in his State of the Union address, parents play such a vital role in getting their children ready for school and ready to learn. Well, in recent years, it's become commonplace to point to the inadequacies of our public schools, and certainly they must do a far better job of preparing our students for college, for the workplace, and for the responsibilities of citizenship. We should all be concerned that so many students leave school and need remediation when they enter college, that business must spend so much training their employees, and that rates of voting are so low. The status quo is unacceptable. Our schools should be far better than they are today. For a decade, we have relied on standardized testing as the primary tool of reform, and it hasn't worked. Some districts and some cities have promoted choice as their primary reform, and that hasn't worked either. It segregates and it stratifies, but it has not produced high achievement. Some cities have gone for mayoral control, thinking that was the answer, and those cities have not seen dramatic improvement. The city of Cleveland, for example, began mayoral control in 1995. It's had 15 years of mayoral control. It continues to be one of the lowest performing cities in the country. Mayoral control has made no difference at all. Clearly, we need to do so much more to improve our schools. We need to improve curriculum and instruction and teacher quality, and we need to help children arrive in school ready to learn, because that is what matters most. And of course, we should be very concerned that American students are ranking around the international average on tests of math and science and are not at the top in these international rankings with places like Shanghai and Finland. We can learn lessons from the most successful nations like Finland, and from, in Shanghai's case, a very successful city, which is as large as many nations. But we should be careful not to learn the wrong lessons from these places. Governor Scott would like to see education run more like a business, using the principles of choice, competition, and accountability. Most Americans tend to respond favorably to these ideas because these values are part of our free enterprise economic system. We want to be free to choose where we shop, where we live, what movie to see, which restaurant to patronize. The idea of choice appeals strongly to us all. Similarly, we understand the value of competition. Governor Scott made his fortune in the business world, and of course he believes that competition produces better products. We Americans love sports, and we know that competition means that the best team or the best athlete will win. In education, competition works differently. The goal of American education is to produce a generation of winners, not a competition where one school or one student